All right, guys. Hello and welcome. Welcome back to just a random hangout. It's Valentine's Day, but Sunday afternoon. So I thought I'd come hang out. Filippo's with me for a little bit. Filippo can hang for a while. His girlfriend let him out to come talk soccer with us, so that'll be fun. How you guys doing? Joshua, Brian, Akshay. Akshay tried to make me his Valentine's, guys. So I'm going to have to tell my girlfriend that and see what she says.
I don't think she'll approve it.
What?
I don't think she's gonna approve it.
I don't think so either, man. Maybe if Akshay sends like a picture, because right now he's got Clint Dempsey's picture up. So maybe he has to send a picture of himself. Then I'll show it to my girlfriend and she'll approve it. Hey, Ben. Hey, Jay Brew. Jordan Perdomo. It's good. This is the first, I think this is the first hangout that we've done together on my channel, right? We've done hangouts together on yours, but not here yet. So this is kind of cool. This is awesome. Josue. Brian Tanesca, DK, you guys watched the game? Because I didn't. I think Filippo has some stuff to say about DK today. Hey, Angel, how are you guys doing? Hey, Jeff. How are we? Good? Everyone having a good time? Anybody doing anything special for Valentine's Day? Anybody got a girl or a guy they have to take out? Let us know. We don't want to get in trouble for taking up your time when you're supposed to be, Hey, Corey. So, Filippo, you had some stuff to say today about DK and soccer culture and stuff. So, let's dive into that.
So, what I was wondering today was, at first, I can't see the chat. So, whatever they're saying, you're going to have to tell me. I can't see it here.
Okay.
What I was
you can't see it,
is if anyone watched. No, I can't. It's not. I can't see it on the software, but it's okay. It's okay. If you throw it on screen, a question, we'll be able to see it. But what I was wondering is who watched Daryl DK play today? And my question was, there was a lot of hype from the British fans on Twitter, the Barnsley fans, all 5 fans that they have, or 9, whatever they have.
Mm-hmm.
And the USMNT fans went off that hype. But if anyone watched that game, what I don't understand was Daryl DK had a very average game, maybe a little bit even bad. His passing was a little off. He was playing a little wide. And there was this play where they said that he should have got an assist where, I don't know if you saw the video, Pete. He clearly shot on goal, and it was just a bad shot. It hit the defender after, and they scored their second goal. It shouldn't have been an assist. He didn't get the assist, obviously. So what I was thinking about earlier was I was comparing this how when Josh Sargent has an average game or even a bad game, we bash on him. I don't do it. You don't do it that often. But people just bash on him. Now, why is it that Daryl DK has an average to mediocre game on the 2nd division of England, and then all of a sudden he's a beast, he's Hulk, he's amazing, just because he bodies people? Try to help me understand that. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay, well, I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this, but off the top of my head, here's how I see it. If anybody is very athletic in America, that's how we think of our athletes, is very athletic, right? Oh, he must be really good. Look, he's a beast. He's tall. He's strong. He can muscle people off the ball. That's like Io Akinola, right? When he plays for Toronto, a lot of his game is just like shoulder barging people, and people are like, what a player. Really? I'd rather somebody do a Cruyff turn under pressure with no space and beat a man than that. So I think there's an element of that. I think there's an element, too, of England being the holy grail. A lot of people think that England is the toughest place to be. Championship is a little overhyped, in my opinion. And so just the fact that he's there, people are excited about that, And also because he scored goals in Orlando. What I've noticed with like Josh Sargent is if he's not scoring goals, he must be crap. It is the most basic, superficial evaluation of a player. I was talking to a guy on Twitter, and he was telling me it doesn't matter where you score goals. All that matters is that you score goals. And I'm just like, wait, so my 12-year-old nephew scoring like 30 goals this season for his U12 team, should we call him up? Like, that makes no sense to me. So I think that's an element of it too.
I scored 3 goals on my pickup last month in one game.
It's because people – sorry, go ahead, Filippo.
No, I was just saying I had a game for pickup last month. I scored a hat trick. You want to call me for the USMNT team right now?
Let's call up Filippo. Are you eligible? Have you filed your one-time switch from Brazil?
Brazil never wanted me.
They never wanted you. Welcome aboard, Filippo. If you score goals, it doesn't matter what else. and doesn't matter where. We want you. Okay. There's no such thing as MLS fanboys. It's club fanboys, MLS employees, and blind Euro supremacists. Not sure what that means, Burnman. Josh is still my favorite from Brian. Yes, Brian, I agree with you. If I had a game tomorrow, I would start Josh Sargent. Akshay Singh says, Filippo, you look like you're in a hotel.
No, I actually am in a hotel right now, believe it or not.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, because my girlfriend doesn't live in Orlando. She's all the way in Tampa. So I had to go visit her here in Tampa, near Tampa.
Ah. How far is Tampa from Orlando?
It's about an hour. It's not too bad.
Okay. That's not so bad.
Close. How you doing, Akshay?
This is Josue. If not Josh, who's the second? Who would be your second choice, Filippo?
So I was gonna say Sebastian Soto, but he's not playing for Norwich right now. Yeah, he's at their U23. That kind of bothers me. I don't want to call a U23 player. I don't know if I would it be too crazy to say Hoppy maybe earned a spot? He's been starting. He's been doing all right.
The next games we have is March friendlies. For me, you call Josh Sargent and you call Matthew Hoppy in, and you give them either 2 halves each or 1 full game each, and you see how they do. You know, they're different kinds of forwards, which is what you want. You have one guy who's more of a poacher, finisher, and look, he still has a limited sample size, but we've seen, I've seen at least some improvement from him technically, more getting involved with his combination play. They're still not a hold-up player like Josh Sargent is. In fact, guys, I have a video coming out on Tuesday called America's Next Top Striker. And it's all about, and I break down the strengths and weaknesses of everybody in the striker pool. The young guys, not Josie and Zardes, okay? The young guys. So I go through Giacchini, Sargent, Hoppy, Soto, Akinola, all of those guys, DK, and I basically talk about their strengths, their weaknesses. We do some eye test stuff, but also I look at their stats. And I use stats to show you how they play and what I think they're good at. So keep your eyes, keep tuned for that on Tuesday, okay?
Do you think Soto's fallen off a little bit, Pete? Because he was in the second division of the Dutch league. Then he goes back to the second division of England. And he's still not playing for the first team. Does that bother you a little bit?
Not yet. So it's still early. He just went back like 2 weeks ago. So I'm not freaking out about it yet. Soto is a pure finisher. That's what Soto is. Like, he gets 13 minutes against Panama and scores 2 goals because he understands how to time his runs. He understands where to arrive at, when the ball is coming. He doesn't he doesn't get dropped deep like Sargent or Ferreira does. He's not going to come hold up the ball for you, but he's a pure poacher. And I think there's a place for that even in England. So I'll give him some more time and see what happens. Hopefully they call him up sometime before the end of the season. Charlie Kelman, Ryan Richards, he wants to know about Charlie Kelman. Look, Kelman is not, I haven't seen enough of Kelman to really evaluate him, guys. It's so hard to find. Also, it's League One. Like, people are like, oh, he's scoring in League One. Guys, that's the 3rd division of England. We're better than that, okay? Go prove yourself in a decent league first before you get a call-up. That's my personal opinion. Calvin, this bothers me. I only know Kelman because he has a high potential on FIFA. Do you know how many times people say to me, oh, this guy's really good? I go, is he? How do you know? Oh, you should see his FIFA rating. She's like, stop. Stop, guys. FIFA is not an indication of what players actually like. What do you think? What do you think about Kelman, Filippo? Have you seen him?
I honestly, the exact same. I haven't seen enough of him. And even if he's performing in the 3rd division of England right now?
Is he? No. I think it's 3rd division. It's for anybody know which team Kelman is playing for? But I'm pretty sure it's League One. So, pretty sure.
Even if he's scoring goals, it goes back to what we were talking about. Stats matter, but they need context. Where are you scoring them? What's going on? And I'm not. I think. Look, this is something I was telling some USMNT players. We want the national team to make it to a semifinals in the World Cup in 2026, one day to even fight for a title. If you want that, you can't be having players that are in the 3rd, 2nd division leagues. You need to have players. They don't have to be all world class, but they need to all be starting for 1st division teams. So we go back to Croatia in 2018. People laugh at that team as if it was a weak team. That was not a weak team. All the players were in 1st division teams starting. Some of them were world class, such as Rakitic. Modric. I think Mandzukic was part of that team. Perisic was part of that team. So you can't try. That's what I was complaining about the whole DK thing. He's playing for the second division of England. We can't overhype that guy right now. Josh Sargent is playing the Bundesliga. That's okay.
Yeah, no, we really can't. We have to wait and see these guys do it at a decent level. And that's why people get excited about Zardes. He's scoring goals. Guys, do you know how bad the defending is in MLS? It's like MLS attacking is okay. It's not great. It's okay. The defending is even worse. And the only reason it's okay is because they get all these big DP attackers to come play in the attack. But who's the defenders? They're always college defenders. And guys, it is not that hard to score against college defenders. So if you get 20 goals in MLS every year, that doesn't impress me. I need to see more. So,
and
boy.
What you were talking about there about college defending, I was talking on Tuesday to Oscar Pareja here in Orlando, and we were talking about how the players come from college with terrible positioning, lack of knowledge of tactics of how to properly defend, how to properly position themselves. That's why DK, as a center forward, he keeps falling to the sides, which annoys me when you have a center forward that keeps falling to the wings.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It depends on the kind of center forward they are. He's a hold-up guy. He should stay in the middle, hold up the ball, lay it off, and then make late runs into the box. That's what
and
DK
body
should
people
do. And yeah, hold people off like Josie. What do you think about Tim Weah at the 9 from Jesse Carter? What do you think, Filippo?
I'm okay with him playing as a 9, a center forward, if there's a second striker with him. I wouldn't put him alone. That's what I think. The reason I say that of not putting him alone is he's more of a go at the defender, kind of like what we talked about Pulisic. He's a go at the defender. I don't think he has any hold up game. He's not going to hold the ball on his own. Would he do that? What would you use to
again?
What I was saying is Tim Weah is not the type of player. He's not super technical to hold the ball. His hold up game is not the best. I don't see him being okay as a 9 alone. He would need a second striker with him, maybe to try 1-2s.
So it depends on the kind of 9 that he is. And guys, I put a video on my Patreon analyzing Tim Weah and the type of player that he is. He can play as a 9, but he's going to be a poacher 9. So he isn't going to be he can hold up the ball a little bit here and there, but he isn't going to be a heavy hold up guy like Josh Sargent. He's the guy who's going to make runs in behind and finish. So similar to Soto, similar to Zardes, obviously way better than Zardes technically, but he's similar to Soto in that sense, and Gianluigi. Okay, Sargent, Ferreira, Josie are more that come deep and hold the ball up. DK, those guys.
Would you put him with wingers though? Would you go with him as a 9 in wingers, or would you rather have a second striker maybe?
I'd prefer Weah as a winger. That if I had to play him, and he should, in my opinion, start at the right wing. I think that's his best position. But a guy like Weah is versatile, and that's why he's going to be involved for a long time, because he can play wing, he can play as a 10, or he can play as a forward, and that makes him very versatile.
No, but Pete, my question was, if he was the 9, the 9, would you play with 2 wingers next to him, or would you play a second striker next to him?
A second striker? I'm not a fan of a second striker unless we use it in a 3-5-2, which probably a good time to plug our next video series. Tell us about that, Filippo.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna do this. Will likely be in your channel, my channel. We don't know yet. We're gonna do 2 different ones for each channel. We're gonna talk about tactical variations that the USMNT could use. Obviously, Berhalter's leaning and showing that he's gonna go for 4-3-3 pressing. That's probably what he's gonna go with. But we do have a couple different ideas, and I'm not gonna tell you guys now so we don't spoil the video, Pete. But we're gonna talk about it. I have a suggestion. Pete has a different one. And we're going to discuss that and see if we can come up to an agreement with it or not. We'll see.
Yeah. Since you guys want us to disagree so bad. You know who really wants us to disagree? Isaiah Paskins. He's always like, what do you think about Filippo this? Okay, always. We've got you. Fantastic. Thank you very much, John Doe. Do you think USMNT will utilize McKennie the same way Juventus plays him? So in order to answer that question, John, we have to talk about how Juventus uses him, okay? And how the US uses him as an 8/10, sort of a pressing attacker who is deep in the box, which is very similar to how Juventus uses him. Now, what Juventus does is they have him drift wide more. So I don't think they're going to use McKennie in wide positions unless he's interchanging with someone like Gio, which I don't think is ideal. Okay, but it's Berhalter. We don't know exactly what he's going to do. My opinion, McKennie's going to stay very central, sort of play as a box-to-box midfielder, which is not quite what happens at Juventus, but it's close. And in fact, Pirlo had McKennie playing further back at the beginning of the season. All right, and Berhalter said, when they figure out that this guy offers them a lot in attack, you're going to really see McKennie go up at Juventus. And they did. Eventually, Pirlo said, oh, this guy has something to offer us in attack, and he pushed him higher up the field. Now, some people say that that's actually because he didn't want his limited technical ability was causing them problems in the holding midfield area. And there might be some truth to that. He's not the most technical player, but I think it was more to do with the ability that he has up top and what he can offer in the final third. What do you think, Filippo?
So I think in the USMNT, I like to compare a lot with Brazil because it's the national team I follow the most of the U.S. right now. And I think he's going to play a similar role to what Brazil had with Paulinho in the 2014 World Cup, where he's a box-to-box midfielder responsible for defending. However, he has a holding midfielder behind him, so that's not his number one priority. And he's a surprise attack in the box. So Paulinho will score a lot of goals. And I expect McKennie to score a lot of goals for a midfielder. So I think you're just going to be more central in the U.S. men's national team, kind of like how Paulinho was under Filippo, which was also a 4-3-3 system, very similar to what Berhalter wants to do with wingers that pinch in. And I think that's what he's going to go with, more central. Now, on Juventus, it seems like he just floats around on the sides. Like the last game versus Napoli, he was on the left side, on the right side. Pirlo seems to give him a lot of freedom in that sense.
He does. I think Pirlo understands that McKennie is a very instinctive guy, right? On the field and off the field. You watch his social media, he's always doing crazy stuff. He's always he's a very spontaneous guy. And he loves life and he loves to and I think Pirlo understood from the get-go, if you guys pigeonhole McKennie into one role, you take away that joyful creativity. It's almost Brazilian, right? It's almost, what do they call it over there? They have a name for the Brazilian style of play. The Joga Bonito, right? It's just like there's a happiness, it's a sort of a dance, there's a flow, it's a beautiful, right? McKennie almost has that. And I'm not saying he's as technical as all the Brazilians, but it's that style of play. Okay, Brian Tenesaka, thoughts on Pulisic right now. Is it a blip or something more concerning? Filippo, why don't you start with this one?
I think the first thing we got to say is Pulisic is 22. That's the first thing. So they're going to oscillate unless you're Lionel Messi, that since age 18 he was consistent. It's okay to oscillate. Second thing, Pulisic did have injury problems in the beginning of the season that definitely held him back. Sometimes he was playing off position, and Chelsea was having a messy season overall. I do think him playing as not a false nine, not a true false nine, but him playing as a roaming second striker can benefit him when it comes to the stats. But even when people were criticizing him earlier in the season, he wasn't doing poorly. He wasn't playing bad a lot of times. He was just not getting assists, not getting goals. But when you look at it, it was Timo Werner missing 3 chances per game. So I think it has to do a little bit with his age. So he's not being consistent right now. He had a good season last year. And dealing with muscle injuries, which they take a while to recover. You don't come back right away. I don't know if there's anything else to it. I don't think it's a tactical problem. I don't think there's anything to do with that right now. There was problems with his team in general.
Yeah. So here's like you said, he's 22, right? And he's young still for any player. I mean, he's not that young, but he's young enough that there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be ebbs and flows. That's part of all. Same with Gio Reyna right now, right? He's not playing as well as he did before. That's okay. There's ups and downs. There's ebbs and flows. Now, specifically guys like Pulisic and Gio, and even a guy like Josh Sargent, is that mentally, when things, they're momentum/confidence players. Okay, there's different types of players. Mentally, they're just different. When things are going well, top of the world, right? Pulisic looks like, I want to say Messi, but he looks world class. When like at the end of last season, the last 10 games, he was scoring goals against Man City, Liverpool, making their defenders that, Van Dijk looked like a toddler on the field. When he's in flow, when he's confident, when things are going well for him. But when things are not going well, and Gio Reyna is the same, they tend to, mentally, they just drop back a little bit. There's sort of a hesitancy. There's a tentativeness to their play. They get frustrated when they can't pull something off. That affects their decision-making. They're not in flow. And I think that's what Pulisic is going through right now. Things are not going well for him. So when he tries things, he doesn't have the confidence to have that swag, which then makes it even harder to pull off. So that's something that he's going to have to work on. It could be because he's young, right? A lot of players like that when they're young. And then when they get to be mid to late 20s, that's when you start to see them pull into a more consistent frame of mind and a consistent production level. So that's my thoughts on Pulisic. I think he's going to be fine. I think this is the ebbs and flows, guys. What's going to happen with Pulisic is he's going to score 2 goals in one game, and all of a sudden he's going to be back. And then he's just going to start tearing up the league again. And we're going to go, what was the difference? Confidence, mentality, and all of that stuff. Thank you very much, Brian, as well as John Doe for your donations. We have this. Sorry, do you have something to say, Filippo?
Tact and Pete.
Who is Alejandro Garza? What is this story?
Don't give him. It's an L3 fan. He's gonna come. Don't. Don't
let the L3 fans in here, guys. We're trying to have a good time. This is like, I put a thing on Twitter yesterday, right, where I said, what's the toughest thing about being a USMNT fan? And a lot of people said a lot of the answers were related to community. There's not always people to watch soccer with. There's not people to talk soccer with. You try to talk to your family. They're like, what? So this is our community, guys. Let's not ruin it by bringing L3 fans, and especially not the idiot racist. There's some really awful. I had to block one of them.
Well, this guy's terrible. This guy's terrible.
Alejandro Garza? Is he as bad as Sin Cara?
I think it's the same person. The same
account.
It
is? No, I blocked that guy on Twitter. Do not let him in.
I think it's the same account.
That guy's the most racist Mexican L3 fan I've ever met. Okay. Jeff Jefferson, can you guys give some insight on the Olympics? Where do you see U.S. soccer finishing? So we did a video about this, Filippo, last week, right? And it's so tough to know because it really depends who goes on the roster, okay? Who goes? Say what?
For all nations. We don't know.
For all the nations, yeah. For what if England doesn't even get their best team and then we get some of our better guys? So if we qualify, which I think we will, we should at least expect to get out of our group, no matter who we're playing. Okay, we should still expect to get out of our group. That is a no-brainer. All right. What do you think, Filippo?
Well, I would expect that from the United States in any competition we play now, especially for what we're aiming towards. We do need to do so. But my problem right now from predicting any of that is we don't know who. Are we going to send a U23 MLS team? What are we going to send? I don't know.
Oh, that's going to be very hard.
Who are the players over 24 that are going to come to the roster? Who are the other nations that qualified, and what players are they going to bring? I don't know. It's very hard to predict it now. Maybe during the summer when the group stage are all defined and we have the players that are going, then we can actually dive into how it'll be. But right now it's anyone that says they think they know, they're just guessing at this point. There's really nothing.
We don't know. But listen, if it's the US under 23s, if from MLS, I would say the maximum is get out of the group. Even then, I'm not so sure because guys, all the good under 23 guys in MLS, Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, they all left. So I don't know.
Pete, the thing I was going to say is if we were to send our best 24, U24, we would be one of the favorites. The U.S. does have one of the best U23s in the world. Yeah. No, if we had Pulisic and Adams and Dest and McKennie and Gio and all those guys there, we could win it easily. Mexico's already won it. It's not that hard because a lot of big countries, their best players aren't going to come either. Their best under 23 players are going to play for their clubs. So that's the difference between the MLS under 23s, maybe get out of our group, and our best under 23s could win it. I think it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. Maybe the MLS under 23s, and then maybe, Ulianes, Conrad de la Fuente, maybe Sebastian Soto, Johnny Cardoso. Okay, thank you very much, Jeff. We've got another question from Corey. Very interesting one. Does Bayern signing Dayo Upamecano affect Chris Richards' future at Bayern? What do you think, Filippo? Yes and no. Well, yes, first of all, because Bayern does play with 2 center backs, so one position's taken right now. Upamecano. That's one of the best defenders in the world. It's taken. But don't forget, Alaba is leaving. So it's not like they got him to replace to put on Chris Richards' spot. He's just going to take over probably Alaba's spot at this point. Boateng is way past his prime, way past.
And also leaving, I heard.
And probably leaving, yeah. So does it affect Chris Richards? Obviously, adding another center back does affect Chris Richards, especially someone at Upamecano's level, which we don't know if Chris Richards will ever reach that level. That's a world-class defender right there that they have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it affects them for sure. But don't forget that Alaba is leaving. That's their starter. Boateng is past due. So I'm still optimistic. Maybe Chris Richards will play with Upamecano.
Yeah. Look, he might, but even if he doesn't, Chris Richards could still be the first center back off the bench. So let's say Upamecano plays with Sula or Martinez or one of those guys. And then if Chris Richards is the third choice center back, guys, being the third choice center back for one of the best teams in the world is still very, very good, especially at 21 years old. You know what I mean? For a center back, 21 is young. So I'm not too worried about it. I think especially if he goes and he balls out with Hoffenheim for the rest of the season and he goes back to Bayern, he'll be in the mix. We don't need, I mean, sure, would it be great if he was a locked-in starter, Chris Richards, for Bayern Munich? Yes. But if he's getting 1,000 to 1,500 minutes a year for Bayern Munich, dude, we've never had a guy playing for Bayern Munich, getting regular minutes for Bayern Munich, suiting up for the national team. Never. So let's just think about that.
And Pete, don't forget that Bayern loaned him to Hoffenheim, and it doesn't have an option to buy. That means Bayern does have plans for Chris Richards.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's good. Thank you very much, Corey. And thank you to every single one of you guys with your donations. Guys, I know there's a lot of questions. We have 131 people in the chat. We're going to try to get to all of them. So hang in there. If your questions aren't getting answered, I will try to get to as many as I can. Let's do me a favor, guys. Can everybody go like the video on YouTube? Just go smash that like button. It helps other people to find us, helps other people come hang out, learn more about USMNT. We're trying to create, and I've talked to Filippo about this, community, right? We're trying to create a community of fans who not only like talking about soccer, but also, want educated opinions, because I don't like talking bad about other people. But if this was Alexi Lalas and Matt Doyle talking here, you'd hear some stuff that maybe they do know their shit, but it feels like what they're saying is they're being paid to say, or they have a clear bias towards MLS or towards whatever. And so we're trying to create an environment where hopefully, at least from my opinion, me and Filippo, we try to stay relatively unbiased about stuff. So yes, guys, go smash that like button.
And guys, don't forget one thing. The best way you can support the channel is hitting the like button, getting involved, commenting, share the stream with some friend that like USMNT content. That's how you can support the channel and keep it going.
Yeah.
Now, can I, Pete?
Drew. Okay, go ahead.
Drew. The question, do you want me to answer Drew, or do you want me to talk about a quick thing I wanted to say before?
Do your thing first, and then we'll answer Drew.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you guys want us to make maybe a video on this, discussing it a little longer, was, I don't know if many people know. Pete knows, I grew up in Brazil all the way till age 15. Then I moved to the United States. So I saw the soccer culture in Brazil and the soccer culture in the US. And there's a big difference. Not in technical, but I mean culture within the fans. There's a huge difference. I don't know if you guys want us to make maybe a collab video talking about that, or if you want me to talk about it a little bit, because it's a lot.
Yeah, and it's not just Brazil. I mean, I spent 4 years in England. I got my degree in coaching from the UK, and the culture there it's the same as Brazil in the sense that the pressure is so high. Tell me this story. Tell the fans the story you told me about Kaká missing a penalty in Orlando, and then him getting cheered by the fans, and what would happen in Brazil.
Yeah. So if you go to Brazil, you can be Pele, you can be Kaká, Ronaldo. It doesn't matter who you are. If the team's not doing well, the fans will try to beat you in the streets. And I'm not joking, literally beat you in the streets. They'll come after you. So I moved to Orlando, and Kaká had just signed for Orlando City, and I go with my dad to the game. We arrive at the game. Kaká's playing like complete crap. In Brazil, he played in São Paulo like that. They hated him right before he moved to Orlando. And then he playing like crap. He misses a penalty kick. So I'm just talking to my dad. I'm like, oh my God, the fans are going to kill this guy. And then Kaká's completely tired. He's obviously out of shape. As he's leaving the game too, everyone's applauding him. And I don't understand it. In Brazil, even if he made the penalty kick and São Paulo lost the game at the time, the fans would want to kill him. And while here, they're so supportive. It's a different culture. But what's weird to me was what I was talking about earlier, how Daryl DK, playing the lower league, has a mediocre game Everyone overhypes him. Josh Sargent struggles a little bit at Bundesliga, which is one of the best leagues in the world,
with no
if not the
service.
best. And they keep saying it's terrible. I'm just like, have some patience. The guy's 21 playing the Bundesliga. Have some patience.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Look, Burnman, we're not trying to bash American soccer. We both love American soccer. That's why we're here. We want the U.S. to succeed. But we also have to understand that the U.S. is not competing only with other American sports. We're competing with Brazil, Argentina, England, France, Germany. That's the idea, the goal. We're not there yet. The goal is we want to be competing with those guys. And as fans, we have to understand that pressure that we put on the federation, on the players, on the league matters, right? Jurgen Klinsmann said this when he was in charge. And I did not like Jurgen Klinsmann. I don't think the guy knows tactics about anything. But he was right about this. He said, in Europe, if you have a bad game, you can't go to the supermarket the next day. You will get crucified. And in the U.S., you have a bad game. Josie Altidore has multiple terrible games in Toronto, and they cheer him off the field. There's no pressure. Why should you get better? There's no pressure at all, right? And listen, I'm not saying that is necessarily right. I don't think people should not go to the supermarket or should get harassed all the time. But I do think as fans, we need to think about our culture, our soccer culture, and maybe just up that pressure a little bit more and hold people accountable. If you're not scoring goals even in MLS, should you be on the national team? I don't think so. I don't care what you did 5 years ago. What are you doing today? Okay. Let us answer Drew. Damn, what up, guys? Pete, really curious on your thoughts for the CONCACAF Champions League new format. I'm not going to lie, man. I tried to understand that format. I read through it 3 or 4 times, and I'm still confused. So maybe this is actually a good topic for another video that maybe we can do together, Filippo.
I didn't look into it.
Through it. Huh?
I didn't even look into it yet.
Yeah, I tried. It sounds complicated, but it's not coming into effect until after the World Cup. So right now, all of our focus is Olympics and World Cup qualifying and getting into the World Cup. And CONCACAF Champions League is hard for me to get behind because of the salary cap is holding us back. It really is. MLS salary cap is holding us back from competing with Liga MX, who, by the way, just went to the Club World Cup final and lost narrowly 1-0 to Bayern Munich. So it's not that hard. But we have to start spending money if we're going to compete. We have to start. Their bill is 70, 80 million a year, okay? The salary cap with DPs for American soccer is about 20 million a year, okay? Those are the big teams, Toronto, LAFC, Atlanta. So we have to – it's hard for me to think a lot about CCL.
One thing from someone inside the MLS, I was talking to – when I told you I was talking to Oscar Pareja, he was the coach of FC Dallas at the time. They had Weston McKennie at the youth system that they lost for free, by the way, or it was like super cheap. He blames a lot the MLS too. He said the MLS at the time was very hard to hold the players or sell them for a meaningful amount. So the MLS lost a lot of money over time because of that. I don't know. There's a lot of issues the MLS has to fix, and the salary cap is one of them. But the transfers are one too, because we lost a ton of players for free, which we shouldn't. So Gio Reyna was free. Brazil, if you have a 16-year-old that's like Vini Jr., Real Madrid got him when he was 16. They paid 60 million for him. It wasn't free.
Filippo, the reason they lost him for free is because they weren't playing their young players. The same with Pulisic, the same with McKennie, the same with Yanez, Soto, all of these guys. MLS didn't start playing its players, its young guys, until 1 or 2 years ago. Now that they're doing that, I think it's going to be fine. They're going to like guys like Aronson, McKenzie, Cannon, Reynolds, Joe Scally. They can sign them and then sell them. And I think that's where it's headed now. But you're right. MLS lost out on a lot of top players because it was behind the times in terms of developing and signing young players. All right. Let's see. What should we do here? I like Burnman's idea. Here we go. They could have a salary cap so long as teams are allowed to spend it on how they want. And here's where I agree with you, sir. If you take the money that's being spent right now, let's say you don't want to spend any more money, okay? Which I disagree with, but let's say, for example, that's the case. Toronto is the highest spending team last year. If you go look at the salary, they spent about 25 million for the year on player salaries. Now, the problem is 17 of that million was on 3 DPs, okay? So if 17 million of your salary is on 3 guys and you go to Mexico, CONCACAF, and Josie Altidore is having a bad game because he's Josie, Michael Bradley is old and slow, and then the other guy, what was his name? The Italian fellow who was there. or the Spanish guy, Vasquez, or, if they're injured or having one bad game, that's half your salary budget gone. And so the rest of your salary budget is like, guys who aren't that good. Whereas if you spread that out, okay, if you have 25 million and you have 7 guys who are 2 million a year guys, now you're spreading out your quality throughout the field. So if one guy's injured or having a bad game, you still have real quality on the field. So I agree with Burnman here on this. You can make the salary cap 25 million or 30 million, but say, okay, spend it how you want. You want a DP? Fine. You don't want a DP? Fine. You want to give 8 million to Christian Pulisic to come play for your club? He would never. But for example, fine. Spend it however you want. MLS needs to grow up and being told how they can spend money and on who. It needs to get past that, guys. It's 2021. Carter Hazlitt said before, nobody wants to talk about soccer. What are y'all doing for Valentine's Day? What are you doing, Filippo?
Sorry, say that again. What did he say?
Carter was just asking what we were doing for Valentine's Day.
Well, I went out for lunch with my girlfriend, and I'm just going to hang out with her for the rest of the day. Not too involved with soccer today. This is the most I'm getting, which I'm about to leave in about 2 minutes. So just one thing to point out, Pete, I don't know if you've been following through. Johnny Cardoso next week, his team in the Brazilian League will play against Flamengo, and it's the second to – there's 2 games left. They're 1 point ahead. They're in first, Flamengo's in second. If they win the Brazilian League 1 round ahead, and Johnny Cardoso becomes the first American to win the Brazilian League. But Flamengo is in better form and has a better team.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. It'll be a good watch. Are you going to do a watch-along, a live watch-along?
I'll think about it. I'll think about that game. I might do it because a lot of people are also going to want to follow through, and they are not able to watch the Brazilian League.
Oh, right.
So I might just do a watch-along, and I'll let them know what's going on in the game.
Okay. As far as me, guys, I'm going to drive for Uber tonight. So it's Valentine's Day. Everybody's going out to drink, so it's going to be a good night to drive for Uber, which is, by the way, what I do when I'm not acting or doing YouTube. I do Uber and Lyft driving. Ruben Villasenor, sir, thank you very much for this question. Ruben is I think Ruben was my first ever Patreon supporter. So a big supporter and fan of the channel, Ruben. Thank you, sir. It's not just fans that have to learn about soccer on the international stage. The U.S. Soccer Federation /MLS has a lot to learn. Absolutely. Ruben, look, MLS and U.S. Soccer and SUM are the unholy trinity of soccer in this country. Unfortunately, we can't control them, right? We cannot control what they do. All we can do as fans is try and raise the level of our expectation and put pressure on the Federation, on MLS, when they do terrible things. One of the reasons that Berhalter's brother, Jay Berhalter, was fired was because the fans put a lot of pressure on the Federation, said, we're not happy with the direction this is going in. We're not happy with Berhalter being hired just because of his brother, and we want Jay Berhalter out, who, by the way, had been pulling a lot of puppet strings. After the failure for the World Cup, Tab Ramos wanted the job. And guys, I have this on good authority, okay? Tab Ramos wanted the Saracen job, said, give it to me for a year. You don't have to give it to me after that. Just let my results speak for themselves. And Jay Berhalter knew that Ramos was a good coach and could maybe have done something good, and then he wouldn't have been allowed to install his brother. So he said no, and he purposely put Dave Saracen there because he knew Dave Saracen was not going to make it into a good team. So that was the level. But we put a lot of pressure on the Federation, and eventually Jay Berhalter is out. Money talks, right? If they know that we as fans are not going to accept bullshit anymore, they won't change as much as we would like them to, but we can start pushing in the right direction. It's like a battleship, guys. It takes them 30 minutes to turn a battleship around on the high seas. That's what, U.S. soccer is like. It takes a long, slow time to turn this battleship around, and all of us have to keep pushing.
And Pete, the thing is, before the fans learn anything, the Federation and the MLS have to get their act together before anything. Because even if the fans aren't the most knowledgeable in the world or more into it, if they don't have that together, there's only so much the fans can do. And Pete, I have to go.
Yeah.
Before I go, there's one topic I wanted to throw at you so you can maybe talk about it there if they want to. I've been talking about how Orlando City should implement futsal in their U12, U10, and U8, and then transition to the field. And I think that will change U.S. soccer in general. It will just bring different. Obviously, it'll take a decade or more, maybe it's something you can talk about with them and what people think about the implementation of futsal in the youth system, because that's what Brazil does, and that's why you see all those technical freaks from Brazil.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about it. And I agree with you, by the way. I think futsal is very good for technical development, especially at young ages. Dude, it's fun having you here. Have a great night. Spend some time with your girlfriend, and we'll talk to you soon, guys. We got some more collabs coming out with Filippo, so we'll definitely have some more good stuff. Thanks for hanging out, man. It's really fun.
Thank you very much, Pete. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Pete. Enjoy Valentine's Day tomorrow.
And guys, go follow Tactical Manager if you haven't already. It's a great channel. Talk to you soon, buddy. All right, so Brian Kleiben said, this is from Nez Nargo, said that the U.S. is not close to Mexico as a unit and tactically and will lose to L3 this summer. Right now, Tata Martino has them playing very well as a unit. He's correct about that tactically they're playing very well. And tactically, Berhalter has a long way to go. Are they going to lose this summer? I don't know. Like, it's an open book, right? We have all these new players that have never played L3. Okay, we've never had Pulisic, Reina, Adams, what else? Dest, all these guys on the field, Sargent at the same time against Mexico. So we're going to have to wait and see. I think that Tata is a better tactician than Berhalter. So I don't know. It's right. He's right, though. Kleiben is right that tactically Mexico has been better set up than we are. So let's wait and see. Back to the futsal discussion, guys. 100%. In fact, as a coach, I coached very, very little when the kids were very young, because the more you coach, the more you are solving problems for kids. Okay, the best football players in the world, the best soccer players played on the streets, they played in the alleys, they played in parks, they played on the beach, and nobody was telling them. So when you go to US soccer coaching courses, right, they want you to yell, freeze, and then put the players in the right position, explain to them what they did wrong. And I'm like, I disagree. Maybe when they're 14 or 15 or 16 and we're working on tactics, maybe. But when they're very young, you want them to solve their own problems on the field, use technique to solve their own. Pass a player. Try dribbling around a guy, even if you have a pass open. Why? Because now you're going to develop the kind of technique. You do that over and over again at 7, 8, 9 years old. Now you develop a very technical player. So when these 16, 17, you're working on him with tactics and he doesn't have technical deficiencies. Too many American players have been overcoached at young ages because coaches want to win so they can justify their clubs. They can justify to the parents that their club is a good club so they can make money because they have to make money doing it. But they're not thinking about the development of the players. So if anybody's coaching, or if you have a son or a daughter who's playing and you want to coach them less. Let them play in the backyard. Let them play with their friends. Go out with the backyard with them and play 1v1 over and over and over and over again. And don't coach them too much, because overcoaching takes away their problem solving, their ability to look at the field, to make mistakes, to learn from those mistakes. Coach less, guys. Coach less. Okay, enough ranting, Masney. Okay, what else? Jesse Marsh or Pellegrino Matarazzo as next USMNT coach? Oof. Probably Marsh. I have some concerns about Marsh too. But overall, of all the American coaches, I think he's the best. I think Matarazzo has a lot of potential. What he's doing with Stuttgart is amazing, but he's very green. So he's only been coaching professionally for a few years. So he might need some more time before we hand him the national team. All right. Big Pete in the house. Tim Hefty. How's life, man? How are you guys doing? Joshua Simmons. I thought Gio Reyna played well in the last game as a true number 10, but some people said he played bad. What did you see? I thought it was one of his better games. In fact, Josh, you tweeted this out, right, on Twitter, and I think I retweeted you that it was good to see Reyna playing well in the middle instead of on the wing, which is where you want him to play for Berhalter, and I agree. I think that Reyna is better as a number 10. I don't think he's as effective on the right. I think he can play on the right because talented players can adapt to different roles, but I think you lose. You lose about 20% of his attacking, his creativity, and I think he's better as a 10. Just my opinion. But yes, I agree with Josh on that. John Doe, why do people hate Greg Berhalter. Hate might be a strong word. I think maybe some people hate him. I don't hate the guy. I just don't trust him. I don't trust how he got the job because of his brother. I don't trust the fact that his record before he got the job was not good at all. And he was okay with Columbus, okay? But it wasn't, you know, you're talking about the national team. You want the best possible option for your national team, not a decent MLS coach. Excuse me. Wow, okay. So I don't hate him, but then also his tactics in 2019 and his player selection were terrible, and he still makes some pretty boneheaded tactical decisions. That's why I don't trust him, and why I think a lot of people don't trust him, okay? But he started to show in the last year some good things, some different ways of playing, some tactical adaptations to the player pool, which is good, but it was all in friendly games, mostly against very bad teams. When he went up against Wales, what happened? He put Sebastian Lletget as a forward when we had Giacchini and Soto on the bench as a false nine. Why would you do that? And when it wasn't working, did he change it in the game? No. He left him on there until the last 10 minutes. So even against better teams, he makes some pretty boneheaded tactical decisions, which is why the fan base largely doesn't trust him. I'm rooting for Berhalter. Don't get me wrong. I want him to succeed, because if he succeeds, it means the U.S. is succeeding. And I will praise him like I did in my last video when I think he does some good tactical things. Remember this, where I used Matt Turner as the ball by accident? Yeah, I was praising his ability to create overloads in different parts of the field. Great. And when he's bad, I will criticize him, and I will continue to do so when he doesn't get it right. Now, Tony Gallegos is correct. GGG can recruit. Yes, he's done a fantastic job with his recruiting. Yunus Musa, Serginho Dest, he had a hand in, Tyler Boyd, and others, getting Efra to come in, the Colombian guy, Perea. So, yeah, he's been really good at recruitment, and I hope he continues to adapt tactically and is a success for the national team. I'm going on these long rants today. Ilyas Abdi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, bud. Where do you think Yunus Musa will end up? You mean as a club or with the national team? I think he will play for the US. I just don't think you come into camp and you ball out the way he did and develops friendships and relationships with those guys. And you see him on social media. Every time Yunus Musa posted something, McKennie and Pulisic and Dest and all these guys are like, hell yeah. And I don't see Jadon Sancho or Harry Kane or any of his English teammates doing that. Plus, and I probably shouldn't actually say this here, but I did see a post from Joe Arena on social media, who's his younger brother, Gio Reyna's younger brother, said that Musa told his brother that he was going to stick with the national team. Now, I don't know if that's true. That's coming from like a 14-year-old on social media. But yes, I do think he's going to represent the national team. Where is he going to play? Okay, so Ken P is asking, where does he play? I don't know. We saw him in the middle for Berhalter. I think he's versatile. He can play on the right. He can play centrally. A lot depends on what we want to do with Gio Reyna. If we have Reyna, McKennie, and Adams all fit and healthy, I want those three guys in the middle, and then maybe Musa or Weah on the right. Remember, Musa's very young. He's 17 still, okay? He's the youngest of all of these guys. So I don't think we need to pigeonhole him just yet, okay? But I think he's versatile, and long-term, I'm curious to see where he can play. Who's better, Stefan or Turner? Here we go. Right now, Stefan. Just going to answer that simply, just mash. Let's see. Okay. Stoffer Cerro. Chances of recruiting Jordan Sibachu and Fularin Balogun to USMNT. I don't really rate Sibachu. The guy's in his mid-20s, and he's still barely producing in the Swiss league. So I think if we wanted to get him, we could, because nobody else does, but I don't really rate him that highly. Fularin Balogun, I don't know. I don't know where his thoughts are. And to be honest, I haven't seen him play enough to really rate him. So, okay. I've answered this question so many times. I've noticed you sound slightly Irish. Are you, or do you have a regional U.S. accent that I've never heard? If you are Irish, I'm a little surprised you're into U.S. soccer this much. What's your story? Tim Hefty, I am full American. Both of my parents are American, but I was born and raised in Thailand. My parents were working there. I studied in the UK for 4 years, and I coached soccer in England, India, the Middle East, and then Chicago before I moved to Los Angeles, where I currently am now. So I'm not Irish, but I have heard the Irish thing a lot. What it really is a mashup of a lot of different accents, which sounds weird, but it's not very like identifiable as where it's from. But no, I'm not Irish. I am American, just a weird mutt accent. Depending on your mood, vibe, state of mind. Very funny, Nez. All right, let's get to some of these questions, guys. I know there's a lot of questions. We got 144 people in here, guys, so I will do the best I can. While I sip water, because my throat goes very fast. Usually after 45 minutes, I start to like lose my voice. Who is this? This, by the way, is my girlfriend, guys. She thinks I'm hot, so that's cool. Everyone say hi to Natalie. Nat's my girlfriend. So that's Nat for you. We're going to celebrate Valentine's Day tomorrow, not today. Okay, what do we have here? Hey, man, I'm new to the channel. Striking Blazer, welcome. Welcome to the channel, buddy. Put your name in the chat so I know your actual name if you want. What is going on? Are you trying to trash me, Burnman23? Good taste, Nat. See, there you go. Nope, that's not the one I wanted to put up. Although that's a great one too. Wow, it goes so fast. John Doe said, good taste, Nat. So yes, she has great taste, guys. Great taste. Okay, alt history sports. Why isn't the Canadian team improving like the USMNT? No offense. It should if you look at Montreal and Toronto. A lot of reasons for that. You know, so few metro areas where players play. The winter makes it hard to play all year round. They have to play indoors during the winter. Not as many people. And they're later to the game as far as developing young players. You know, having 3 clubs versus having 25 clubs developing players is different. I think they're going to continue to improve. We're seeing it, but it's going to be hard for them to catch the US. Look, nobody in the world takes, you know, sports. When they take a sport seriously, no one does it like the US. When we take a sport seriously, we dominate it. We're an athletic culture. We just need to add the technique to the game, and we're going to be fine. And Canada is going to be better, but they still have a long way to go, because right now Canada has Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, who are playing at the elite high levels, okay? I know they have a few other guys. They have that guy at Rangers who's 32, 33. And I know they have the guy at Turkey. What was his name? Who was at Orlando? I don't remember his name. If somebody remembers his name, type it in. And then they have the goalkeeper who's playing at Slavia Prague. Other than that, all of their guys are in MLS. So they still have a long ways to go. I think they can maybe qualify for the World Cup, but I'm higher on Jamaica than I am on Canada. And we'll get to that another time. Okay. Nando, V1, what's your opinion on Daryl DK? In my opinion, out of all the potential number 9s for the US, he has the build with the right training to become a Lukaku-esque player. So I think what you said is the truth. You know, Daryl DK is a freak athlete, but technically he's limited. And I think that's okay at the championship level. You can be a good athlete and you can be like Josie, body people around and still, you know, be competitive, but he's never going to be an elite forward, in my opinion. So when I say elite, I'm talking about Champions League, upper top 5 league, Europa League teams at a high level. I don't think he ever will be, but I think he could still be an effective forward. You need different types of forward. If we take Josh Sargent, Matthew Hoppe, and Daryl DK to Qatar, I'll be happy with that, because that gives us options. We have the freak athlete. You need a goal, and you bring him on the last 15 minutes. You have Josh Sargent, who can hold up the ball really well and combine with teammates, and then you have Hoppe, who's a pure poacher. 3 different types of forwards. Those are the 3 guys I hope we take to Qatar. Lukaku, though, and this is true. Nope. Lukaku has amazing skill and intelligence. Yeah, he does. but he doesn't fit into every system, right? He fits in certain systems, but not others. And his technique in tight spaces is not always the best, guys, if we're being honest. So he's not a technical guy like Sergio Aguero, for example. That is a technical striker. Robert Lewandowski, technical, you know. But what like Burnman is saying right now, technically decent, but not technically elite. All right. Let's see. Tim Parker. Do you see McKennie playing with Juve for a few years? Yes, I do. I see him being at Juve for quite a while. Eamon Hanrahan. Now, this guy, you've got to be Irish, man, with a name like that. People accuse me of being Irish. Tell us how to pronounce your name in the chat, buddy. Thoughts on Robertson's future once Fulham get relegated? He might stay with them. He might get bought. It's so hard to know. You know, he could end up being a Premier League left back, but we just don't know what other teams want and if they're willing to sell him. It's a wait and see kind of situation. 2-2 with Mexico. Oh, here's a fun one. Daniel, JJ Macias or Josh Sargent? Who would you take it? I'm American. Of course I would take Josh Sargent. No, look, JJ Macias is doing okay in Liga MX, okay? But again, we're talking about two different levels. JJ Macias is scoring goals, so people are like, oh, what a great player. That's not the Bundesliga, man. That's Liga MX. And if Liga MX, if he stays in Liga MX, he's going to stagnate, and that's going to be his level, and he's not going to improve. He needs to move to Europe. I keep hearing this from Mexican fans. He's about to go to Europe. Valencia wants him. Juventus wants him. But like, I hear this about Charlie Rodriguez in Monterrey. I hear it about Cordova, Sebastian Cordova. I hear it about Alexis Vega. I hear it about so many of their players. Cesar Montes at Monterrey. And they never move. So I don't know what to say. You know, it's hard for me to evaluate you if you're playing at that level. You need to go up a level, and then I'll compare you with Josh Sargent. Because he might be better than Josh Sargent, but we don't know that. Go to the Bundesliga, outplay Josh Sargent, and then I'll go, okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay, good question. From Jay Brew. What's your actual name, Jay Brew? Because you've been a fan of the channel for a long time. You're always commenting, and you're always good comments, but I never know what does J stand for? Is it John, Jerry, Josh, Jim, Jack, Joe, Pete? I saw you said Hoppy doesn't resign with Schalke, but now that he has, resign. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Resign with Schalke. But now that he has, what do you think happens when they get relegated? So I don't know the terms of his deal. You're right. I said I hope he doesn't resign with them because it's kind of a disaster club right now. And I'm shocked that he re-signed with them. The only way it makes sense to me is if there's a clause in his contract that says if they get relegated, he's released, or gets sold for a very low price, like under market value. Those are the only way I see it making sense. Otherwise, if he actually signed a contract and gets relegated with them, it's kind of a step backwards for him. So I don't know who his agent is, and I don't know who's advising him. It could be good if he has those clauses in his contract. If he doesn't, not the best move, in my opinion. Jamal, I'm sorry, dude, you said that before. Jamal Brewer, you did tell me that. I'm sorry, I forgot. Aha, Isaiah Paskins. Jamal Brewer, got you. I'm calling you Jamal from now on. I was FaceTiming a girl and forgot that Pete's stream was on. So you basically put a girl ahead of me. Isaiah, I am offended, man. On Valentine's Day, you forgot about this stream so you could go chit chat with a girl. No, good for you, man. Is she a girlfriend or just a girl you're seeing? You don't have to like tell the whole chat if you don't want to, but if you want, Isaiah, Jesus, bring that ego down. John Doe. Julian Pinto. John Doe, I'll get to you in just a second. Julian, how are you, man? Good to see you here. Julian Pinto, another fan of the channel and a great supporter on Patreon. Where would you like Hoppy to go? Sorry if you answered that question. I just got to the stream. No worries, Julian. I haven't answered the question yet. Oof. So Hoppy is the kind of forward who is a poacher. So I think he could be good in many, many different systems. Honestly, I could see him over at Red Bull Leipzig. They don't really have a poacher as of right now. I could see him. I mean, I don't think he's Leipzig level yet, but I could see him at a place like Hoffenheim. I could see him at like a mid-table German club. I could see him in France. I could see him in the Championship. I could see him, Napoli, I could see him there. You know, you want, he can fit in a lot of systems, but they just have to understand who he is, okay? If you want him to hold up the ball and be a target man, he's not going to do that. If you want him to be a poacher, to be that guy who drifts between the defensive lines and plays on the shoulder of the last defender and explode into space, he's your guy. He's like Chicharito, okay? Mexican fans are going to lose their minds now. Chicharito is a terrible footballer. He was never technically good, but he could score goals. He had this knack for being in the right place at the right time, and he was a crucial finisher. What does W mean? I've seen 3 W's in a row. Is this like F? Okay, so thank you, Julian. Who else? John Doe had another question. Is there more than one John Doe here? There must be. Okay, what are the realistic expectations of the USMNT for 2022 and 2026? Guys, I'm going to just change the style of this banner here, or whatever it is. See if we can just make it a little smaller so it's not blocking my face. There we go. Okay, back to the chat. Realistic expectations of the USMNT for 22. Minimum in 22, we have to get out of our group. Okay, with this roster, with this level of talent, we have to get out of our group. I think realistic expectation should be the quarterfinals. For 2026, semis, man. Let's shoot for the semis at least, right? We're at home. These guys are all going to be in their prime. We're going to have more players than ever, also playing at high levels, and hopefully a really good coach. So why not the semis? Why not? Hey, Joseph Harris, how are you, man? Jay Wildcat, does USMNT win the CONCACAF Nations League? I don't know. A lot depends on what Berhalter does against Mexico, because we'll probably beat Honduras in the semi, and then we go up against Mexico in the final. How do we do tactically? How do we approach the game mentally? And can we outthink Tata Martino? Basically, can Greg Berhalter outthink Tata Martino? Yes, Josh. All right, let's see. I don't have too much longer, guys. Just a couple more minutes, okay? And then I got to get going out of here. But this is fun. I'm going to try to do this more often because I enjoy this a lot. It's great. Jamal Brewer. Pete, if we don't change our system to have a 10, would you put Pulisic on the right or Reina? I mean, I would keep Pulisic on the left. If I had to have those 2 guys at wing, I'd keep Pulisic on the left and Reina at the right. Kevin Paulette. Hey, Kevin. Chris Richards versus Mark McKenzie. Higher ceiling. I think the higher ceiling is Chris Richards because he's more athletic. He's younger, and he's been playing at a higher level. And I just think he reads the game better. Now, Mark McKenzie, very high ceiling also, but for a center back, he's a little small. He's only 6 feet, which is not huge for a center back. And I think that'll hamper him at the highest levels. Still can be a great center back, though. So I think Chris Richards. All right. John Azevedo. Are we ready to compete against Brazil, England, Argentina, and some other strong teams? Not yet, man. We got a long way to go. A long way to go with player development, with experience, with tactics, with so many things. All right. Do you think we'll ever have a situation like we did leading up to the 2017 nightmare again? I hope not, man. I really hope not. Okay. I don't think so. I think the way we're developing talent now, it would be very hard for us to be there, to get to that place again. But complacency is our enemy. We cannot get complacent. We cannot start thinking we've arrived, guys. We have a long way to go. A long way to go. Lewis with a very good point. I don't think GB can outsmart Tata, but our guys may be the deciding factor. That is true, okay? Talented players can overrule bad tactics sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And on the day, yes, Gio Reyna has a brilliant game. Pulisic's playing on top of his game. Fine. Yes, we could beat them without Greg outsmarting Tata. That is true. Let's see. Kevin Paulette, thanks, Pete. You are the man. I watch all of your YouTube videos. I'm going to comment more often. Always, Kevin, always. And feel free to put your, I always answer comments. So if you have questions, put them in the, comments, and I'll be happy to answer. Zach, how you doing, man? I'm about to get off here, dude. We missed you. Zach is another fan of the channel, also a Patreon supporter. Thank you for your support, Zach. Good to see you here, bro, but you're late. Show up on time. Were you do? Okay. Oh, you know what I've wanted to do for a while, guys? Everybody put the city and state that you're in, because I want to find out where everybody is. Because I'm going to, not this year, but towards the end of this year, early next year, I'm going to travel more. And it'd be cool to like do hangouts live. It'd be cool. Like, I'm going to be at a bar. Anybody in this city, come hang out. So everybody put your city and state in the chat now. Go. Let's see where everybody is. Mom's basement. Seattle, Washington. Zach, it's my wife's fault. Yes, I know. Atlanta, Georgia. Josh. Zach. Brooklyn. Edinburgh, UK. Oh, we got Scott in here. Cincinnati. Louisville. Bloomington, Indiana. Florence, Kentucky. Northern Virginia. Costa Rica. Ken. Ken, how are you, man? USA expat, right? Ken he's living the pura vida life in Costa Rica, man. Edmonton, Canada. Are you Canadian, Gamerhead? Oxnard, California. Look, I got a guy near me. Hyper you now. I live in Los Angeles, so not far. Houston, Wichita. Tony Gallegos, you're from where Andrew Wiebe is from, the host of Extra Time Radio. He's also from Wichita. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Stouffer, I was just in Albuquerque over the New Year. Boston, Texas in the house. Where in Texas? Oh, look, we got Miguel and Gigolo Bro. What a name. In Los Angeles. Los Angeles bros. High five. Okay, here's a good question from Liam Schmidt. What are your thoughts on U.S. soccer content creators that don't have any soccer credentials like Drew and Yank Reports? Look, everybody is going to bring something different to the table, okay? And I would never bash anybody else's content unless they're being biased or just like, you know who I mean. But there's different types of content. I try to do tactical stuff. I try to do analysis. For some people, if they're just a fan and they want to like convey news on their channel and like this happened this weekend, then that's fine. That's great. There's different ways to talk about soccer. What you have to do as a fan or as a viewer is decide for yourself where, the line stops between like, oh, I'm talking about soccer as a fan and I'm talking about soccer as an expert, because there's a lot of self-styled experts out there, including myself, who maybe are not quite as expertise as we think we are. So that's where you have to be a little bit discerning as a fan. But look, there's different kinds of content for, some of it is just news. Some of it is just fan. I've seen channels of just, some guys, they just react to what's happened and give their reaction as a fan. And that's fine. There's different ways to approach this. It all builds community and it all builds, camaraderie and content, which is what we need more of. So good on them. I'm glad that there are lots of channels talking about soccer and talking about it in different ways. Akron, Ohio. Tanner Spade, you're from Caleb Porter town. East Coast, Angel Meza, Monterey. Oh, look, you guys are connecting. Berlin, but I'm American. Liam Schmidt. Cool, man. Zach, Yanks Abroad was my old school pre-Reddit go-to website. Great message board to this day. Not as good here, though. That's cool, man. You should need an A-class coaching license to start a YouTube channel. Burnman, I don't have an A license, so I don't know. That would disqualify me. I have a C license and I have a degree in coaching and lots of years of experience, but I don't have an A license technically. Wes Smith, do we know our March friendly opponents? Yes, we have Northern Ireland for sure. They're still working on the other one. I have no idea who it is. Liam Schmidt, don't skip my question. I feel like I answered it, Liam. Was that the one about the other channels? I feel like I answered that. A lot of the best content creators have no background in the sport. That is true, Jamal. It all depends on what you are into, Oh, hang on. I've got a question from Al Hollywood here. I love the passion, but I was at the 2002 World Cup, and I just don't understand all the negativity around this team. First of all, Al, thank you so much for there's your question. Thank you so much for the donation, Al. The negativity was a result of us not qualifying for the World Cup 3 years ago. And a lot of the negativity now is still a hangover from that. So it's definitely not as negative now as it used to be with this new generation we have. But there's a difference, too, between negativity and pressure. And sometimes as a fan base, we don't always put as much pressure as we should on the team, on the federation, on the coach, on the players, on the league. And I think we need to do more of that. It's possible to put pressure and call out the bad, but also be excited and hopeful for the future, because the future is very bright. I've said this many times. Thank you, Al, for your donation. I appreciate that, guys. 3 more questions I'm going to answer. And then I got to run, because also I'm losing my voice here. It's getting bad. Zach, you are by far the best channel on YouTube. You're making me follow the game much more tactically. I appreciate it. You're very welcome, Zach. I love talking tactics with you guys. So the fact that you guys appreciate it really is encouraging to me. Louisville, Kentucky. All right. Who is your favorite player of all time? Oh, man. That is so tough. Favorite player, I think Clint Dempsey. As an American, I'd say Clint Dempsey. Clint Dempsey is my favorite. I love the swag that he brought to the team. He had that like American, we don't back down, we're scared of nobody mentality. He was so mentally tough, and I loved that about him. 2 more. UI Shaggy, who would you like the U.S. to schedule a friendly against, Switzerland or Sweden? Either. I'd be fine with either of those guys. Anything is better than CONCACAF. That's how I'm looking at it right now, guys. Anything is better than CONCACAF. David Beckham, Isaiah Paskins. Providence from Robert Pesaturo. Cool, man. All right, Stouffer's been asking this question a couple of times. I've seen it. Horvath is a free agent in the summer. Free at last, free at last. Thank God. Almighty, free at last. Where do you think he will sign? Saint Etienne, Genk, MLS, another club? Probably MLS if I had to put a bet on it. But there are teams that need a goalkeeper, and he's a good goalkeeper. So maybe somewhere in Europe. I wouldn't mind him doing what Zach Steffen did. Come back to MLS, play 1 or 2 seasons, and then if you're good, get another move back to Europe. All right. Last question here. Boom. Great way to end this. 5 best MLS teams for youth development. FC Dallas, Philadelphia Union. I'm talking about right now, okay? FC Dallas, Philadelphia Union, LA Galaxy, because they've always developed players, but they haven't always given them an opportunity, and now they're starting to give them an opportunity. Real Salt Lake, just because of what they did with Ledesma and Soto and other guys. Red Bull Burnman used to be, but recently they haven't really been developing anybody. Since Tyler Adams left, I haven't seen much from Red Bull to convince me that they're in that top 5. They're still up there. Not sure about top 5. So I'd say definitely Dallas, definitely Philly, LA Galaxy, Real Salt Lake, and I'm going to go with Colorado Rapids because they've started developing players out of nowhere. So those 5. Okay, yeah, but Joshua Simmons, but Caden Clark came out of the Barcelona Academy. So LAFC actually has a really good development system. They're just at the beginning of it, so we haven't seen the fruits of it yet. They signed 3 homegrowns, Christian Torres, Tony Leone, and one more guy. I can't remember his name. We're going to see how they do this season and if they can continue doing that. Yes, because LA has a huge talent pool. Massive, massive talent pool. Hopefully this year, guys, we see more development in MLS, more young players coming through. That's what we want. That's what we need. Then let them play a year or 2 and sell them. Yes, Kansas City also, Steven Negishi. Guys, this was awesome. I have to go. Let's do this more often. You guys are amazing. Have a happy Valentine's Day. If any of you have wives or girlfriends or boyfriends, significant others, whatever it is, couples, partners, have a blast. And if you're single, love yourself, man. Like you're free. If you're single on Valentine's Day, you're a free bird, man. And there's nothing like being free. So enjoy that. We'll talk to you guys soon. We got a really cool video about all of our strikers coming out on Tuesday. Check that one out. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't already. Eric Duenas, Hyper You Now. That's the one. Have a great one, guys. If you're lonely, hang in there, man. Hang in there, dude. It gets better. There's someone for everybody. And if you want to find them, you will find them. It's just a matter of time. It's good chatting with you. I'm always around. Feel free to message me anywhere. Twitter, Instagram, email, YouTube, all works. Have a great night. Mohammed, you're also late. Have a great night, guys. I will see you soon. Bye.